All right. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to try and have up my chat here so that I can see you if you are posting a comment or have a question. And I'm super excited to be here with you all today. So today we're going to be talking about being sensitive in an insensitive world. And this is a really difficult situation, one that I've been realizing a lot about lately, as I've been coming to an understanding and a deeper meaning to the sensitivities that I have in my own body, as well as the sensitivities that my children have. So this is a really interesting situation because a lot of us were raised basically without having a lot of foundation for the situation. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Julie. Welcome. So glad to have you both here. And to anyone else who's watching this is the Sacred Healers podcast, and we are here to discuss different issues and concerns and ways that sacred healers can step forward in this world in a more powerful, balanced, and healthy way. So today we're talking about neurodivergence and also sensitivities. A lot of people who are considered themselves healers or empaths or highly sensitive people, it looks like are also potentially neurodivergent. And I was watching a TikTok the other day, and the TikTok literally all it said was, "You are not a starseed, you are neurodivergent." And I was like, and it made me think for a minute. I got triggered. I'm like, that is so defeating to people who consider themselves starseeds. That doesn't have anything to do with being a starseed. Now, if you don't know what a starseed is, starseeds are people who believe that their souls originated on a different planet or in a different galaxy, and they relate and connect to beings and energies from those different galaxies, from different planets. And I've always believed I was a starseed for many, many, many years. Even looked up all these different types of starseeds, and I channel light language and all these things that are very deeply spiritually grounded for me. Well, they're not grounded, I guess they're out in celestial realms, but they're very spiritual practices that I do as part of my own well-being and ways that I like to feel more comfortable and healthier. And when I saw that TikTok, "You're not a starseed, you're neurodivergent," I just started thinking of all these things. You know, a lot of people in my family are neurodivergent. My father, some of my sisters, and my son definitely is. He's on the autism spectrum. And so I've been learning all these different ways to support him so that he can feel balanced. He has this underlying, low-lying anxiety and depression already. He's only 11. And I remembered when I was 11 that I had terrible, terrible depression and anxiety, and I didn't know why I had it. I didn't even know what was wrong or what was going on. And the more that I've worked with people over the years, the more I've noticed this pattern of this chronic underlying depression and anxiety, this feeling of not fitting in, of not belonging anywhere, as if there's no place that you truly, truly, truly can be at home. And that's why people get this idea of being starseeds, because they believe that maybe their soul wasn't even originated here on Earth, and that they aren't even somebody who they can connect with on this planet. And so here's this situation that my father, my son, my sisters, and I can read through and understand that these sensitivities that I feel, the sensitivity to other people's energies. And so if you're an empath, you have that sensitivity. When you walk into a room, you can tell what other people's emotions are. You can read them, you can feel them even long before anyone has said anything. This is a sensitivity. Some people who are neurodivergent have sensitivities to touch or sound. They get overwhelmed when they're with too many people in the same room. And all of these issues, the underlying depression, the sensitivities to sound and emotions and feelings, can all be really detrimental to your mental health, of course, because you're continually bombarded in our world by stimuli. Like that is the thing that our world thrives on, is just stimulus, more and more and more and more stimulus. Like how many things can we be stimulated by? How many things can we touch? Can we buy? Can we see? Can we watch? Can we hear? And what do we do when we're continually overwhelmed by these situations? One option is what a lot of people end up doing, which is they shut down completely. So they may emotionally shut down, they may intuitively shut down, they may spiritually shut down, they may even shut down in their relationships with people, because having a partner have a feeling that's very stressful can be too intense for you. So is that a reasonable thing? It's not reasonable to step through life just cutting people off and stopping everything because we don't know how to create an environment in our life that's going to support us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And so we can look at each of those different layers when we're sensitive like this, when we're empaths or highly sensitive people, or when we are neurodivergent. And often there's overlap, not always, but often there is overlap. And so I noticed along the way as well that many of my clients and students were also in these categories. They were starseeds, or they were people who considered themselves empaths. They were people who considered themselves highly sensitive people, or they already knew that they were neurodivergent. And the deal with neurodivergence is that when I was a child, many people who were neurodivergent were getting diagnosed only if they were very severe in their diagnosis, right? If they were non-functional and unable to work in the normal world or to be part of a normal classroom, then you would get your diagnosis, you would have that situation come through. But what about everyone else? And we realize now that this is a spectrum, it's a full spectrum. So just that feeling of being overwhelmed and too sensitive when you go to the store, when you're dealing with a conflict, when you are in a room that has some kind of healing ceremony going on and it's overwhelming, that the energy is too strong. Those are all symptoms of a situation that your brain works differently and you have a higher level of sensitivity. And so a lot of us who are on other parts of the spectrum but are very functional, we're not diagnosed with this type of situation because it's not an illness. It's just a way that our brain functions differently. And if we know that our brain and our energy functions differently, and that we get overwhelmed and are too sensitive to certain situations, then we can help support ourselves by creating boundaries, number one. And number two, by soothing our nervous system. So if you are in a continual situation with somebody, maybe it's your boss at work or a partner, or you have something like that going on where you're continually engaging with someone who keeps pushing into your energy field or your energy sphere and makes you feel really tender or sensitive, beginning to set some gentle and loving and firm boundaries with these people can be really helpful for you. But also set boundaries with yourself. So as you step forward, you are like, no, this is my boundary. I can't do that. It's too much right now. Can we talk in 20 minutes? Can we talk when I'm calmed down? Can we talk when I feel better? And that can help you to manage and mitigate the world as you step forward. So if we don't have and know what our boundaries are, then we cannot support our own sensitivities, right? There's nothing wrong with being so sensitive. In fact, I believe that it's a gift, a beautiful, magical gift that we all can use to our highest potential if we're healthy. But if we're letting ourselves get bombarded, if we're like, oh, I'm an empath, I have to feel everybody's feelings all the time in order to use my magic, then we cannot appropriately ever heal ourselves well enough to be able to step forward, right? So there's the trick here is about self-care, setting our boundaries, and speaking clearly and lovingly to other people when they are infringing upon our sensitivities and our boundaries. It's okay for you to be sensitive to sounds, to touch, to emotions that are happening. And if you understand that and you can sit in that from a grounded place and say, look, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. There's too many things going on. It's not a good time to go to the grocery store. I know this is a weird example, but I have this problem all the time. I am not agoraphobic, but when I go to the grocery store, it can be very overwhelming to me. I find that people are not paying attention. They're not intentional. They're like milling all over the place, bumping into me. I'm being touched by people I don't want to be touched by. They're in my energy field. They're frustrated and irritated by the length of the lines and the things that they can't find. And it's so much for me to deal with, that I know that I don't go to the grocery store without, one, setting my energetic boundaries, two, clearing my energy field beforehand so that I can come with the best possible energy, and then three, going at a time that is appropriate for me. So we can mix the magical and we can mix the mundane, the physical stuff in there in order to create a world that helps us to thrive in. So I want to just make sure and go ahead and credit the author of the book, Divergent Mind. Her name is Janara Narenberg. And so if you haven't checked this book out yet, you should go check it out. If you consider yourself an empath, a highly sensitive person, or if you already know you're neurodivergent, like you have ADD, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, oppositional defiance, which I did get that diagnosis in high school because I don't like doing what other people think I need to be doing. And it has been a terrible problem for me in the past. Like, don't get me wrong. I definitely did not use that one well, but I believe that it comes out of this idea that I can see things from a different perspective than other people. And so when we have different perspectives and a different way that our brain works, we really need to honor that in a way that's going to fulfill us. So one amount of it is by not shutting those sides of us off, but by actually channeling it into our beautiful art, into our magic. And for me, that's through ceremony, through ritual, through doing my healing work with energy healing and transformational coaching. And when I'm in that arena, I can see all sides of a situation. I can call in the intuition and I can get these clear guidance of which ways to go. I can feel the sensitivity of all of the people in my ceremony or of my clients that I'm working with. And I can use these sensitivities as a superpower. So when we are not completely canceling ourselves, but we set those boundaries, it rather makes space for us to breathe in, not just take a second and breathe in. That silence, that space is where our magic can happen. When we have allowed ourselves enough room to not be bombarded, to not be taken over, to have the spaciousness and the time that we need to process things, process sensations, process our feelings, then we can be healthier on a regular basis. So by self-care and by setting these appropriate boundaries and doing things at times that are going to be the most productive and the healthiest for us, we can create a life that we thrive in. And we can support our clients in this as well. So this is a really important thing that's coming through right now as we understand the human brain better and as we understand energy better. And we're learning so much about this right now in the mainstream and everywhere, the way that our mind works and how we can conceptualize things. And so when we know that this is something that up to 30% of people have, it's not some freakish thing. It's not something that is really rare or something like that. So many people have it. I do believe that this is some kind of genetic shifting that's happening as we're upgrading into the next phase of human existence. And I guess we'll see as we go. But the more of us that hone these abilities by using them appropriately and in these set boundaries, the more that we will be able to truly step forward as healers, because we can feel what's going on with our clients energetically, emotionally, physically. We can understand it in these deeper levels. But if we let too much into our energy field and we do it at times that we are not healthy or that we are not feeling strong energetically, then it can be detrimental to us. And this is what leads to burnout. This is what leads to breakdowns. This is what leads to people quitting their healing jobs and completely leaving, right? So I see this a lot with nurses or acupuncturists, chiropractors, people who are seeing a lot of clients every day, and they're not taking that time in the middle to really tend and care to their body and to their energy field. That's when I really see this happening a lot. And there are people who are already sensitive or neurodivergent, and they don't realize that self-care means we set boundaries with our clients in a gentle, loving way, with our family, with our schedule, with the work that we're doing, how much we're working and at what time. And this is going to be different for everyone. So if you need more support on this, please reach out and connect with me privately or put a comment down and let me know that you need more support on this. This is really a lifetime practice, and it can take years to hone in on it. But I just had this realization as I was reading that book. There was a chapter on women and autism, or autism in women. And there was probably 40 or 50 different characteristics of women who are autistic. And the only one I highlighted, all the ones that fit for me, and the only ones that didn't was only 3. So, but I don't have the typical presentation because I'm very good at what they call masking. So I learned at a young age, because I'm empathic and sensitive, that I need to mimic behavior of people around me, and it makes them feel comfortable. And so it was something that got missed. And I've seen that for a lot of my clients, that some of the best clients that I've had, best students that I've had, have also been somewhat sensitive, very sensitive in different ways, and they're needing different ways to nurture themselves. So of course we can do things like energy healing. Reiki can be very, very soothing for the nervous system. Any type of energy healing can help to calm the nervous system, clear away all of those extra energies and emotions that are inside the body when we're struggling, when we're in anxiety or in depression. But also honing in on our sense of purpose in this world, because each of us has a mission, a soul mission that we're here to work with. And if we can hone in and discover truly what our purpose and what our mission is, then we can absolutely use our sensitivity as an amazing superpower, as a magical, intuitive gift to really help a lot of people. So if that resonates for you, please let me know. I would love to work with you more deeply. I would love to connect. I would love to hear about your experience. And thank you so much for being here and witnessing. Blessed be.